I watched every viral YouTube video of 2024 to figure out the reason behind going viral. It was not through luck. I found a framework that can be applied to any video to keep your attention high, and it actually worked.
Bro, I roast the hell out of people who have boring first 5 seconds. It's brutal. Essentially, your title and thumbnail set expectations, and at the very beginning of the video, to minimize drop-off, you want to assure them that those expectations are being met.
The main objective in the first 5 seconds is to meet the viewer's expectations, was that they match the first 5 seconds with the thumbnail and the title. Let's take a look to an example. Check it out, the thumbnail and the title of this video. In the thumbnail, there is a close-up shot of Elon Musk with a bluish background. The title of the video is The Dark Truth About PayPal. Now, let's take a look to the first 5 seconds of the video.
PayPal is no ordinary company, and this is no ordinary story.
The very first shot closely resembles the title. There is an animation of PayPal logo, and in the next sentence, you can hear this line.
And this is no ordinary story.
By using the first 5 seconds to immediately match the title and the thumbnail, he minimized the drop of retention the very get-go. Now, after applying the 2 steps formula in the first 5 seconds of the video, next come to these 3 core elements of the hook, which are context, stakes, payoff, and the curiosity. And this is where it gets interesting. Because of this formula is used throughout all of these videos, let's hop back to one of them to see these elements in action. We last left off this video after he showed PayPal animation.
On the one hand, this is one of the most inspiring tales you'll ever hear. How a small group of people in their 20s with no real finance experience went up against big banking and revolutionized the way we send money. But there's also a very dark story here. How a company that promised so much has ended up ripping off its own users and being involved in countless scandals. There are very few companies with as many horror stories and unhappy customers as PayPal. This is also a story about how PayPal faced fraudsters, gave away free money, nearly went bankrupt, and on multiple occasions hatched a secret plot to overthrow their own CEO.
After matching the thumbnail and the title, he outlines the entire plot, and if you've seen the complete video, you would know what I'm talking about. Initially, he gives visual text. By showcasing the company's name, he proceeds to mention that company ripping off its own users and being involved in countless scandals, nearly went bankrupt and overthrow their own CEO. Following this, the video delves into the consequences of such methods, and this is what I call stakes SL payoff. And then to hype up your interest and to build up curiosity, he starts mentioning ripping off its own users and countless scandals to entice the viewer stick around and watch till the end to figure out why they are overthrow their own CEO. And this video is around 58 minutes, but it doesn't stop there. In addition to those 3 core elements, he adds one secret element which MrBeast explains better than me here.
Match the expectations, and then you want to exceed them. So you want to assure people that what they clicked on is what they're getting, and then blow their mind and be like, but you're also getting even more.
Now that we catch the attention of the viewer, we need to keep it until the end. And this is where it gets tricky, because there are different frameworks for this, but the main rules you want to focus on here: good pacing, visual variety, and consistent contrast.
You know, certain things like if I just talk to a camera for 10 seconds without a cut, like a lot of people will just get bored or they'll lose interest.
And this is what you call visual variety. What you want to do is to cut between shots at least 3 to 5 seconds. Now you might think that's impossible if you have a faceless channel, especially if you focus heavily on motion graphics. But the trick is to add movement between clips to keep things visually dynamic. And one of the best examples for this is the PayPal video that takes a lot of timing for his movement during this clip.
eBay had to accept they just couldn't innovate as quickly, because ultimately, payments was only a small part of eBay's business, whereas it was PayPal's entire focus. Not just that, but eBay took a more traditional approach to its payment system, like requiring a more in-depth verification process. Unlike PayPal, who were handing out accounts and cash to literally anyone, this would soon cause huge problems. But in the short term, it meant PayPal had less friction and was easier to use, and built up a bigger network faster. And thus, PayPal ultimately beat eBay when it came to payments.
The concept of this is very simple. You want to feed the brain new information consistently to make them forget the time, just like TikTok does to you. You don't want to be stuck in a frame for too long unless it meaning like building tension, SL, suspense. But even with these frequent changes in the screen, you still can't keep the video interesting forever. Because of TikTok, the attention span are shorter than ever, and it's fact that MrBeast explains here.
It's very hard with a single storyline, if you're doing like a double-digit minute video, to just have that one thing grip their entire attention throughout the whole video and pay off at the end.
And that's where the second rule comes in, consistent contrast, and MrBeast does this by introducing side stories.
Typically, if you're doing a longer video, you should introduce like a side story and like you should have some plan halfway through, like to re-engage them so they don't just get bored.
But before you say, wait, I can't do that in my style of videos, there are different ways of incorporating this rule, which Ford does best. He does this by blending the footage in audio of interviews.
You have such an incredible talent for physical comedy. Where did that come from?
Desperation.
Desperation?
I had a sick mom, man. I wanted to make her feel better.
I just always felt like that was my job.
I had a job, at least in my own mind, and that was to make my mother feel better.
Funny people have sick moms, generally. It's born out of wanting to make somebody feel better.
Okay, but that's too hard to do. There is a simpler version of this that I did in this video by adding clips of MrBeast interviews or playing different clips from videos, which I hope it worked. Now the final rule, which is the most important of them, good pacing. You probably seen this is one of these videos, but let's shift in towards YouTube. Most creators will focus on beginning of the video, but creators like MrBeast create frequent energy cycles shifting between high and lows. What I mean by this depends on the video, which for each cycle introduce a new stage of life for Jim Carrey. The cycle starts with a high energy dramatic quote followed by the low energy of what led to that quote or a series of events that proves it.
Now, I used to go up to Mulholland Drive every night, sit on the side of the road, look out at the lights, and go, I'm a popular actor. Every director wants to work with me. I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better. And I used to like open my arms and imagine things, you know.
And this is what keeps the pacing up and keeps you, the viewer, waiting to know more right up until the end of the video. Now each of this cycle tends to be between 2 to 4 minutes. Finally, we have arrived at the final seconds, which are more important than people think. And that's why most people will see a long drop at the end of their videos, which hurts the overall retention. To avoid this, you need to introduce a big payoff and its end on a high note.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Just walk through it.
Now, one final secret to have a high retention which MrBeast recommends.
God dang it, put it all on a checklist so I can tell you the things to do, and then going forward, just check them off before you upload a video.
You need to go back and check every time on the checklist and cut out every dull moment and have your friend watch it before you upload it.